Good morning, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Shalom, Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of UNESCO Jakarta, I'm Skarsari as the moderator of today's event, would like to present a warm welcome to you to our event today, the closing e-forum of UNESCO Japan Fit Project on revitalizing creative industries at the World Heritage Sites of the Philippines and Malaysia. Can we have a big applause from you guys from your own room for this amazing event? Okay, thank you very much for your great energy in this very good morning. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this event is hosted by UNESCO and supported by the Japanese government, who have begun a pilot project to explore means to promote local creative industries at three World Heritage Cities of Malacca and Georgetown in Malaysia and Vigan in the Philippines. Coming up with the theme Revitalizing World Heritage Cities at the time of pandemic, this year UNESCO Jakarta wants to emphasize the experience of these three World Heritage Sites who have been mapping issues and developing their respective strategy to promote local industry for implementation between 2019 to 2021. The project has met extraordinary circumstances in the middle of its implementation, as we know that the worldwide pandemic of COVID-19 started since early 2020, and it has interrupted international travels and tourism activities in all the World Heritage Sites and has brought significant impact to local industries, in which they became even more critical during this period. Therefore, how the project teams adjusting and gearing up their activities will be an important lesson learned for all of us who have been very exciting joining today's event. Furthermore, on the closure of the project in this e-forum, we are also going to hear the experience and insight from creative youth at Indonesian heritage sites, Kita Muda Kreatif, who has been supporting business capacity building of young cultural entrepreneurs in the heritage destinations. Ladies and gentlemen, an overview of today's agenda. We are beginning our program with the opening speech from Ms. Moichiba on behalf of UNESCO Jakarta. We then proceed with the implementing partner presentations from Vigan, Georgetown, Malacca, and Kita Muda Kreatif. And then we are going to have a panel discussion with the implementation partners that will be moderated directly by Ms. Moichiba. So ladies and gentlemen, we shall now proceed to the first agenda. I would like to invite the program specialist and head of Unit Culture UNESCO to deliver the speech. Ms. Moichiba, time is yours.
Good morning to Jakarta and to all our friends from Malacca, Georgetown, Vigan, and also Indonesia. It is lovely to see you all, even virtually, during this period of confinement. At the end of 2018, with the funding support of the Japanese government, representatives from the three World Heritage cities of Vigan, Malacca, and Georgetown met in Penang to discuss the challenge of linking the World Heritage status of your city with the local livelihood and community well-being. All of us share the same concern that the local communities should be the primary beneficiaries of the heritage status of a city. Their day-to-day practice and the local businesses should be therefore supported. And this is how we would probably enhance the value of a World Heritage City, because they are integral part of the history of the place. Then, each of you went back to your respective city to set the target and started executing your activities. In Vigan, the focus was to support the traditional weaving and pottery makings, now with a limited number of practitioners, to be part of the heritage tourism market. In Malacca, while most of the tourists are concentrated in a relatively small World Heritage Zone, you set the objective of promoting the villages and settlements in the outskirts of the World Heritage Zone to spread tourism benefit to a larger area. And in Georgetown, you focus your energy to build the capacity of local businesses and museums to narrate various stories of the World Heritage Town to draw more visitors to each of them. Now, this project, which has been implemented between end of 2018 and now, will sadly come to an end this month. So before we say goodbye to each other, we wanted to meet you all for one last time. As Sikar said, this project met the extraordinary fate of having the pandemic in the middle of its execution. So although it was not initially intended to be, the project ended up becoming like a COVID-19 recovery support to the local SMEs. And UNESCO feels that you have been rather efficient, as you had already established that network with the local communities before the pandemic started. While each of you has done many works under this project, in today's e-forum, we'd like to focus on your experience of supporting local communities at the time of pandemic. Because this is an ongoing challenge, and probably your experience can inspire other World Heritage cities. Today, I'm glad to inform you that another UNESCO project team from Indonesia will join the discussion. UNESCO has been collaborating with City Foundation since 2017 to support the youth creative entrepreneurs in the famous heritage destinations. Amid the pandemic, the team has deployed various efforts to continue providing business training to the target youth. So you will also hear their stories. I'm glad to acknowledge that in addition to the presenters from our project site, we are having amongst our audience Mrs. Erne and Ms. Fadila from Melaka, who were very instrumental in beginning the exercise in Melaka. We also had a representative from the Philippine UNESCO National Commission, and probably somebody from the Japanese Embassy in Malaysia may be watching. We also have quite a number of observers from the other World Heritage site of Indonesia and the NGOs, because once again, your experience is very interesting to all of us. We are yet to see the end of the pandemic, and the entire world is struggling to find a way out. Your hands-on effort on the ground and in the front line will be a precious testimony. So let's begin our dialogue. Thank you very much. And I hand over back to Sikar.
Ms. Moichiba for the speech, and as mentioned by Ms. Moichiba that everyone's here already overcome the ongoing challenge and we can learn from each other. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, before we move to the next agenda, that is implementing partner presentations, there will be a video series of project beneficiaries on UNESCO Japan Fit. Let's have a look.
Traditional local industries are integral part of the value of a World Heritage Site. This is particularly so for living World Heritage cities, where people's occupations and livelihood are closely intertwined with the history of the place.
In all heritage sites naman, ang nagiging problema talaga is how to continue the traditions. Kung paano tinutuloy yung mga bagay na ginagawa nila noon and how to make it profitable for the people.
These local industries are not without challenges. Success of World Heritage tourism attracted major investors from outside, sidelining local small businesses. Many of them are trying to survive in the contemporary market, yet slowly leaving the city, which has become too expensive for them. What is, however, the value of a World Heritage city without original resident and traditional businesses? This is why UNESCO, with the support of the Japanese government, has begun a pilot project to explore means to promote local creative industry at the three World Heritage cities of Melaka and Georgetown in Malaysia and Vigan in the Philippines. Each site mapped issues and developed their strategies to promote their own local creative industries to be implemented between 2019 and 2021. The worldwide pandemic of COVID-19 started in early 2020, interrupting international travels and tourism activities at virtually all the World Heritage sites. Our project, supporting local industries, became even more critical during this period.
Gaputa pandemic, hanmi onay na apply digi supply chain kada marketing.
But of course, due to the pandemic, now we are a little bit, I would say, not very active now is because the people are not encouraged to gather around. We have a very strict, I would say, movement control order in Malaysia.
Bila mula COVID, kami langsung tak ada, memang tak ada show, tak ada bengkel, tak ada produk yang kita boleh jualkan.
So, something had to be done to help the people of Malacca to weather this storm of the pandemic.
But of course, because of the pandemic, so we couldn't do the normal tour like before. So UNESCO has suggested to do a virtual tour or virtual experience.
So under this project, there are 4 components. The first one is Sapologo Business, second is Heritage Repair, third one is Heritage Video, and then the last one is Post-COVID-19 Cultural Heritage Database. And then I'm the team leader for the Post-COVID-19 Cultural Heritage Database.
What do we face is actually we discovered that some shops or some businesses, they don't even have, they don't know about online platforms that can help their business, such as e-wallets, e-finance.
I'm responsible for the heritage video component. So in this project, we will approach local communities, understand all the challenges that they face during the COVID-19 pandemic, and then encourage them to take use of their phones or their cameras to document and also promote their services, products or businesses through video format.
While at the same time, we are helping them on how to market their products better. We are trying to encourage them to sell online. Tapos, tinutulungan rin namin sila na magdagdag ng value sa kanilang mga produkto. So, we are training them on how to make bags. We are training them on how to make other items that would increase the price of the product that they're making.
We have the P3 cares of the small business corporation wherein we provide soft loan to these affected MSMEs.
Bali tinay tulong na ginyami ket ko na-enhance DJ design capability mi. Kasi tata pandemic namin. Masapol mi nga ikwata no for the near future. Adanto ti maisagana nga maiwaras mi no agbong to ti tourism manen dito Vigan.
Dawdawaten mi kuma nga ti UNESCO ken ti Japan tit nga mamantinir ko iti turista.
Agyaman kami ti UNESCO ken Japan Pit kasi naikang kami ti opportunity nga makuha pa yung
InsyaAllah dengan adanya virtual experience nanti, besar kemungkinan perniagaan saya ni akan berkembang maju lah.
Okay, Japan Part, I thank you for him because you're doing a good job. Do for everybody, people can successful, then you do it a good job.
Thank you UNESCO for giving us the opportunity to do this virtual experience.
Saya berterima kasih lah dengan virtual experience kerana dia memberi peluang dan membantu juga sedikit untuk kita bangkit balik semangat.
Oh, I am so glad because the project actually gave me a new dimension.
The World Heritage Convention is about the conservation of tangible monuments and buildings. But UNESCO and site managers are increasingly made accountable to link heritage conservation with Sustainable Development Goals. The World Heritage Site Management inevitably has to include strategy for local SME development and socioeconomic well-being of local communities. UNESCO would like to thank the government of Japan and the partners from Vigan, Melaka and Georgetown to explore good practices in making the World Heritage Convention relevant to the 21st century.
Wow, it's really appealing, and I'm sure everyone here cannot wait for our main agenda today, that is implementing partner presentation. And the first presentation will be from Vigan, the Philippines. Beside the development of the heritage-based tourism, Vigan also known for the empowerment of local artisans and craftsmen for ensuring a self-sustaining city. The first presentation of today's event will be delivered by the Mayor of Vigan City, the Philippines, who has shared with us a video presentation. And later, during the panel discussion, Mr. Juan Carlo will be joining us as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome from Vigan, the Philippines.
As being globally recognized through the UNESCO as one of the heritage sites and belongs to the new 7 wonder cities of the world, the heritage city of Vigan established its limelight as a destination for its rich history, culture and tradition that significantly boost the city's economy through its tourism industry. Inscribed on the World Heritage List in 1991, Vigan has been recognized as a model of the best practices in the World Heritage Site management. With the city's rich history, diverse cultures, as well as the resourcefulness of its people and industriousness, it is not surprising that Vigan is very rich in its arts and crafts tradition. These are crafts handed down by skillful generations of Viganios, known for their expertise in weaving and pottery. Artisanal industries such as abel, damili, and burnay making are not only a source of livelihood for the people, but also a part of the development of the city's culture and arts. These local cultural assets greatly contribute to the demand factors driving tourism growth in the city. The plentiful supply of cultural objects lures both local and foreign tourists. Nowadays, the traditional industries are now losing its reputation because of its dwindling numbers of key players. Through the UNESCO Japan Feed project, the city government of Vigan, in its effort to revitalize and sustain these industries, was able to provide timely and necessary assistance to the key players of these centuries-old industries. With the Japan Feed project, various opportunities were opened to safeguard the city's cultural heritage, particularly the traditional industries, in developing, sustaining, and promoting these assets to bring back the glory days of these industries. In partnership with the Department of Trade and Industry, Ilocos Sur, the city government of Vigan conducted value chain and product development workshops which helped the key players determine the gaps, how they can address them, and how they can further innovate on their products.
Shop ni Rubilda Concepcion, ti Rubilda's Weaving, Pagabelan, 40 years. More than 10 years siguro. At dati, instead ng product development, seminar, may panggap digi Japan Fit. Training mi gamin digi ket may panggap di marketing ket product supply chain and supply ket nahami onay pay nga nay yadal dito business at akastoy at least nakakaramat digi marketing digi ayon tikukuhan ken nag product development kami hopefully ket may market nito met daing sumaya.
Another project is the designing of brochures for the Abel, Damili, and Burnay industries. These brochures were provided to all key players. The promotion of these traditional industries through these brochures will sustain its conservation. It is also a way to educate our tourists on the processes and importance of these industries. The Japan Fit project also paved the way to provide additional kiln to jar factory owners, and a national folk arts being one of the oldest jar makers, Mr. Fidel Go. These assistants aim to help him produce more jars and making it more convenient to tourists, deepening their appreciation on arts of Burnay making.
Siya ni Fidel nga Go, nga aking kuka datoy nga pabrika ti Burnay, agnaid ditoy Barangay 7. Hindi pala nga mampay ti pandemic before danya nga pandemic nga dahil regalo kanya ti city datoy. Kaya maragsakan na klaw na ya. Dati ka po na, dati kiln, dati pugon nga susaremi hanggang kami unay nga makaluton. Dati ka po, dati kayo. Dati ngamin kiln at dog nga talaga. Ado ti masapul na nga kayo. Naimbag deta, kiln nga deta, ta LPG-aing.
Another project is the publication of the children's book, Love Story That Saves a Vegan from the Revenge of World War II. That will be one of the many ways to make the children of Vegan learn from our rich culture heritage. This colorful book will make our children better appreciate and make use of our glorious past as instrument towards a vibrant present that will be emulated by the beginnings of the future. Due to COVID-19 pandemic, the city's tourism industry has been one of the most affected sector in which tourists from both local and international were restricted and causes the different tourism establishments of the city, including our traditional industries, to temporarily close and sadly some declares bankruptcy. To ease the burden of the people, particularly those in the tourism industry, the city government of Vigan created means to provide assistance to those affected to be able to bounce back and revive the economy. In partnership with the Nueva Segovia Consortium, the city government of Vigan provided soft loans to the micro, small, and medium enterprises of the city who are greatly affected by the pandemic.
Di sakbay ti lockdown, okay ti sales tayo, okay ti panagkaramitan ti abel, na tuloy-tuloy met ti supply tayo dagigay supplyan tayo ng outlet Manila ket international. After pandemic and nagtuloy-tuloy pa lang ti agabel angin idi puros out me amin nawag me ti paglakwanin bumasili ti source me nga pang tandan dagiti weavers. Since at the tina-avail me ti from the city ken through NSCC, gaputa na kapsut met ti taray ti abel in bawing mi ti foods. Tata na panunod mi deti gutuhan, in try nga naglako, ket okay met ti feedback di. Digay empleyado mi digay shop mi digay heritage isu dati na adapt na alam mi digay ken nalagaan lang ti interest na okay para iti talaga na paag-negosyo lalo na pandemic. Di maximum ti in-avail ko di 100,000 ket ti interest na ladigi 2,500 for the 16 months.
There are also trainings in the partnership with DTI and other agencies that focus on the opportunities and direction of the artisanal industries under the new normal. The passage of the city ordinance granting discount on the payment of the business tax due for the year 2021 in the city of Vigan.
Iti sanggonya na konseho tayo ti Vigan, ita nagipasada iti ordinansa nga mangted iti discount basar kadagiti gross sales ti previous years dagiti aming establishmento dito siyudad ti Vigan. No dagiti nga establishments kita essential 25% iti discount na. Dagiti nga rod kita mabalindet agopen iti GCQ. Ken dagiti non-essential dagiti ti dakkel iti discount da gapin nga rod saan da nga nag-open na gito di general community quarantine. Narigat iti sasaaden na gito tayo, nagiti tourism related establishments, nagiti hotels, restaurants, souvenir shops, ken dadumapay. Nagito kita idi addan iti pandemya kita saan dan or nag-open da saan dan nga makalako wenno saan dan nga full operation gapin nga rod kadagiti awanin iti target customers na. Iti city government kita ng TEDPAY ti wawayway tinda pa nagbayad kadagiti business tax da, dagiti permits da. Tapos iti kasta kita may kandat iti nananay nga tiyempo nga pastrek pay tapno adda pagbayad da kadagiti obligasyon da iti city government.
The city government have also provided financial assistance and relief goods to the city's displaced workers, allowed the use of hotels, transients, and other accommodation establishments as accredited quarantine facilities for its returning residents and appors. Strengthens its livelihood assistance program through the city's Pagsapulan Ranyag Timasakbayan program. Provided various seminars and frequent monitoring of minimum health standards for business for their gradual reopening, and continuous meeting with the affected sectors such as tourism and business sectors to further address the challenges brought by the pandemic.
Agyam-yaman kami ti Vigan City, ti UNESCO, ken ti Japan Fit, tutuloy lang ti suportayo iti panagabelan sapay kumata agtutuloy lang.
Agyaman na unay kinagya pati pamilya ken nagiti kakadwak ngalang ted kayo iti kiln kinagyaman nagmed iti UNESCO
Vegan, despite the challenges of the pandemic, is home to proud Veganians who will soon welcome everyone with warm smiles to the city where traditions blend with the demands of the times. Vegan may have opened itself to change but has not sacrificed the warmth of its heritage. It is the ability of coping with the present amidst the bounds set by centuries-old legacy and the active involvement of its people that makes Vegan a living, historic city.
Yes, that's the presentation from Vegan City, the Philippines. And as I mentioned before, that the mayor of Vegan City, the Philippines, Mr. Juan Carlos Singson Medina, will joining us during the panel discussion. It is very interesting indeed to see the training and also education program to the artists, craftsmen, and also even educated tourists. And beside that, it is highly appreciated that the Vegan City also find the way to transmit the knowledge to the young generation by producing the child book. And the transmission of knowledge and training are still continued during the pandemic with some adjustment, and also even there are more aspects to be involved. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, now we are moving to the south, that is to Georgetown in Malaysia, that is known for having the unique architectural and cultural townscape without parallel anywhere in East and Southeast Asia. So without any delay, please welcome Dr. Ang Ming Chi and Miss Bunni from Georgetown, Malaysia. Time is yours.
All right. Good morning. Salam sejahtera, everyone. While we are waiting for the PowerPoint to be loaded, we are from Georgetown World Heritage Incorporated. We are here to share with you, the activities and initiatives we have conducted during the time of COVID. Can we have the PowerPoint? Thank you. All right. So as you can see, the name of our projects is called Georgetown in the New Normal, because we really need to prepare ourselves in the transition to the new normal. Next, please. This is the location of Penang, where me and Bunni are now. Next, please. And Georgetown actually is located at the tip of the Penang Island. And you can see the World Heritage Site area is not very big. It's about 259 hectares. And we have about 11,000 of local residents living inside the town. Next. It is the Penang Island has been a very important administrative, cultural, and political center. This information is very important because it shows you, where the resources are available, and it enables us as site managers to do our job. Next. So this is the pictures of our town, the World Heritage Site, and this is the property. And here today we have our colleagues from the Malacca, which they will present after this. Malacca and Georgetown will receive the World Heritage Site status in 2008 together. So we are two separated entities, site managers. What we will be presenting to you is the initiative conducted from our end in Georgetown, Penang. Next. This is a brief introductions of the properties and the buffer zones and the types of buildings that we have. I will not go through the details, and if you need more information, you can contact me or Bunni, after this with our information in the PowerPoint. Next. So I will not read out the outstanding universal value statements, but I want to address here that the program that we have prepared, in facing of the COVID-19 pandemic's impacts, mainly were inspired on the ideas of how can we safeguard and protect our OUVs, our outstanding universal values. So for us, there are three very important things. One is, the multicultural trading, it's a trading town, and we have a lot of trades, modern and traditional. So this is number one. And next. And we also have the testimony to the multicultural heritage and traditions. So there's a lot of festival, a lot of events in the past. So how can we maintain and document all these important moments and continue it to our next generation? Next. We also have, like, the moderator has introduced earlier, unique architecture, culture, and townscape. Next. So working together with our team, you can see in the photos, but now everyone is working from home. We are the site managers established by the state government in 2010. It's about 30 of us now. We need to take care of about 5,000 buildings with about 11,000 of residents. We have also people who travel daily to work in the town when it's not under lockdown. We also have about 300,000 of daily users. People go inside the town to buy things, to the market, to eat things, to pray. So it is a very important and strategic heritage town. However, with the COVID-19 pandemic coming in, we are now advantage on our approach that our strength is on community-based project and also problem-solving approach to address the problem. Next. The movement control order is actually the way the government mitigate the issues in Malaysia, started since 18th of March 2020. So the impact is like a lot of social functions and events are cancelled or limited, and the access to houses of worship, clan houses are limited. Business operation hours are limited, and no dining is allowed at one point. And the closure of international borders resulted with no international tourists have a very big impact. And you can see in these pictures, the green color motorbike is a Grab food. I'm sure you are familiar with that. And you can see in the pictures, they're waiting to take away food from one of the oldest nasi kandar restaurant in Malaysia. But I want to say here is like, if the oldest nasi kandar shop in Malaysia can transit in the new normal, nobody cannot transit to the new normal. That inspired me a lot and inspired GTL Chai to engage in the projects that we are doing now. Next. So this is the comparison of the before and after COVID-19 impact. Next. We launched a project called Georgetown the New Normal based on three principles. The first one is that the understanding on the resiliency of the town. It is important for us to understand the attribute, vulnerability, the risk and the impact, and what the local people want. The majority of the local people, what do they need? And what is their resiliencies towards the different phases of COVID-19 pandemic. And the second one is accessibility, because not everyone will have access to internet, for example. Not everyone will have access to email, e-wallets, and everyone's needs are very, very different. So it is very critical for the team to come up with innovative problem solutions approach, and with the aim to empower the local people, because that is the long term, very difficult, but it is the right thing and sustainable way to do so. And last but not least, our attitude. We have to remember that everyone have their dignity, rich or poor, having a job or not, suffering or not. We have to respect their dignity, and one step at a time. I always say, we have physical distancing now, but we can continue to do the socially engagement. All right, next. So very quickly, let me introduce to the component of the new normal projects. We received a funding about 240,000 US dollar from the state government of Penang, and also the additional 30,000 US dollar sponsorship from UNESCO Japan Fund in Trust. Thank you very much, the people of Japan. And there are three components of our project. The support local business, by the name is I know we are helping the registered local business to establish their online platform, a website, because website is not too difficult to do but very expensive to maintain. So we park their separated website in GDL Chai, that is my company's, our office website. Heritage repair is because we have about 3,000 heritage building in the town, category 2. So we also have a grant to encourage people to do a minor repair under this component. Last but not least is heritage video. We encourage the practitioners, the performers, to learn how to document their skill, their craft, their performance using handphone, and we help them to do subtitling and small editings and upload it into the social media channels of Georgetown World Heritage Incorporated. Until today, there are already 3 phases of the program. We provided the very easy to fill in registration form because that is very important, and is available in English, Malay, or Chinese. And then our staff do help the applicants using the vernacular languages so that people can understand what the program is about, and we also can deepen into the problems and how to solve it. Next. This is one of the poster that we have launches during phase 2. Next. A lot of publicity, although we are talking about a new normal, but we have to remember that our applicants, many of them read newspaper. So we also go through the physical newspaper publicity and a lot of press conferences with the help from my directors. Next. So the approaches, 4 of them. One is like community-based approach with site visit when it's allowed, but remember to do social distancing. We also make collective decision making during the weekly coordination meeting. So all the project staff, everyone involved in this project from the office will meet together every Thursday morning to discuss about every applications that come in. And very important, we also do a lot of digital information updates. We use the platform called Regit. Buni is an expert on this, so you can ask her later on how to use it. We give you some examples on the print screen at the bottom of the pictures. And very important is to update the funders. The money is very important, and we constantly very transparent of the reporting of where the money has been spent. Next. This is one of the examples of the cases presented. We identify the name of their shop, who is the applicants, what is their background, the impact that they are facing during different phases of COVID-19, and the components that they are applying. Next. This is an example. Next. And as of 24th of May, these are the statistics of the application that we have received. According to components. Next. And I will detail down on these 2 elements on heritage video because they are funded under the Japan Fund in Trust program. We have approved 203 cases, and then we have received 84 videos. That means the applicant has shoot their own videos, and we are now doing the post-production. It's very painful now, but I receive a lot of support from our team. And then we, in the next PowerPoint, next one. You're welcome to click on GDL Chai YouTube channels or our social media at Facebook. to browse through the examples of the video that have sent up. I was quite surprised and very happy that the committees, even some of them is new to this. They have put in a lot of efforts to show their products. So the as I said, the dignity and the professional knowledge of the people is there. It's just about how do we package it and let more people to see and go and buying. I think seeing the video is one thing, but to have the urge of like, yes, I want this, I'm going to buy it, I'm going to support this particular artisans or local community. I think that is the final aim. Next. So, and another component that has been supported under this particular project is the support local business. We are preparing the websites for each applicant. It's a bit slow now is because of like we are doing a trilingual web page for everyone. So we are targeting both English, Malay, and also the Mandarin target audience. Next. This is a very fast, but this is the end of my presentation. I think I'm on my 13 minute. I want to use this opportunity to really thank UNESCO and the support from the Japan Funding Trust because of like, allowing us to adapt to the need of the local people, in particular during the COVID-19 situation. It has been a very challenging time. We are losing friends and families due to COVID. While we can't do much on the process of vaccination, but what we are doing now is like continue to engage with our local committee and to make sure that our team who are working on the ground are safe, and also try our best to have peer support, between vegan, Georgetown, Malacca, Indonesia, and our colleagues outside. So I think it is a very tough time, but I wish everyone all the best, stay strong. And thank you for the interpretation team. I'm sorry I talk very fast, but thank you for translating this. Yeah, Buni, do you have anything that you want to add?
Yeah, thank you everyone. And then we hope that we can see everyone in the near future. Thank you.
Yeah, please come to Georgetown. We have a lot of good food. Thank you. That's all of our presentation.
Thank you so much from Georgetown that has shown that they have applied several principles such as resiliency, accessibility, and attitude, and also some approach that are really helpful to recover and maintain the engagement during the pandemic. Okay, once again, thank you so much, Dr. Ang Ming Chi and also Miss Buni for your enticing presentation. All right, proceed to the next presentation. We are moving to Malacca, Malaysia, and I would like to invite the presenter from Malacca. I still remember that in 2012, I visited the beautiful historical heritage site, Malacca, a vibrant space which accommodates several identities with their various cultural expression. And now, and I'm sure everyone in this meeting as well, want to hear some updates from Malacca. So here is the presentation from Malacca that will be delivered by Mr. Syaukani Abbas and Mr. Ahmad Najib Arifin. Time is yours.
Thank you. Need a PowerPoint? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. And have all of you been vaccinated? Because this is the catchword of our community now. Whenever you saw each other, we'll say, have you been vaccinated? Not good morning, good afternoon. All right, my name is Syaukani Abbas, and I am one of the organizers for the community program of Kampung Morton. And I will be sharing with you my team experience in organizing the program. Okay, so our catchword is to visit Malacca is to visit Malaysia. This is where my story begins. Next. Next. Okay, you can see, sorry about the typo error there. This is the aerial view of the village. Okay, so let's do some geography lessons. So Malacca is situated between Kuala Lumpur and Singapore, and Kampung Morton is located in Malacca town, just outside UNESCO World Heritage Site. It was one of the 7 gazetted heritage village of Malacca, and Kampung Mountain was gazetted in July 2008. Next. Another view of the village. This village, for information, is not a traditional village, but a well-planned village created by the British way back in 1920s. There are 100 lots in this 4.86 hectares piece of land, and the village is named after an Englishman by the name of J.F. Morton, who is a land commissioner at that time who helped the villagers to get this piece of land. Next. You can see again, the village is located by the side of Malacca River. Next. And this is one of the original house of the village. The Malacca Museum Corporation many years ago had done inventory of the houses in the village with photograph. But I predicted in a few years' time, many of these beautiful homes will disappear from our sight as development is creeping up in years to come by. So we will not be seeing all these houses again next few years. Next. And this is how Kampung Mountain look like at night. All the houses along the river is lighted up. And all this lighting are sponsored by the state government as to one of the night tourist attraction of Malacca. Even the electricity consumed is paid by the government. Next. All right. So our objective of this program is to create a proper walking tour of the village with brochure, with signboard and everything. And we've been doing this tour way back in 2016. Okay, we started in 2016, and it's a free tour, and it is paid by the government. The walk is focusing on the history, the culture of the Malay people, and also the architecture of the village. It's a free tour, like I said earlier, and we conduct it 3 times a week by professional guides at that time. And like I said again, it was sponsored by the government. At that time, the museum headed by Datuk Haji Kamis and Puan Fadila, which was supportive of our program, and they helped us to get the grant from UNESCO. They are the one responsible for encouraging my team to follow for the UNESCO program. And this is the result of their encouragement. Next. So the brochure is in English and also in Bahasa Malaysia. And we also have at the back of the brochure, we identified 10 places of interest where the tourists can use the brochure and visit all these places. Before this, we don't have anything like this, but with the help of the grant from UNESCO and the people of Japan, we managed to create all these things. Next. This is a signage board which we have created, and every place, every spot have one signage board. When the tourists or visitors visit the village, they can read what is on the board, and they can visit the community there, right? As long as the story is there, and hope they can understand what is happening in the village. Next. In order to create a proper walking tour, we need to train the villagers. So among the training we organize for the villagers is one, basic sign language. This class was organized between September 2019 to February 2020. We managed to rope in 25 participants from the youth to senior citizens involved in the village homestay. They learn basic sign language and sing. Do you know that they can sing the Malaysian and state anthem by sign language? Our objective of this training is to make the village handicap compliant. We hope that we have handicapped people come into the village, at least they can communicate with the homestay operator on sign language. Next. All right. So we also have organized basic tour guide training, and through 26 sessions, The training taught basic guiding techniques, grooming, history of the village, and Malacca, as well as a presentation skill. We have professional guides to as our mentor, yeah, and they are all licensed guide and registered with the Ministry of Tourism. The activity is conducted 10% indoors and 90% on site, with involvement of real domestic and international tourists around. The trainees saw how the professional guides lead the tour, and then they were asked to conduct themselves the tour with the assistance of the trainers. 15 youth from the village and 5 registered tourist guide from Malacca participate in this training. At the end of the training, they get a certificate. Next. This activity of traditional architecture inside was attended by 13 young villagers and registered tourist guide from Malacca, and was intended to impart basic knowledge, basic understanding of Malacca Malay houses in the kampong. At the end of the activity, participants will get a certificate, and they were trained by professional architects. Next. But with all these things we have done, at the end, we got challenges, how the program is done. Next. So the first challenges we have is there are long holidays when we conducted the program, and the program training usually is on weekends. During the school holidays, there's a lot of wedding ceremonies, and the villagers tend to forgo the training and participate in the villages wedding ceremony. Next. And then when we start again our training in January and February, the villagers are busy with the family. They need to take care of the children, this and that. So another setback on the training. Although the training is ongoing, but we don't have full capacity in the class. Next. During the handicap, sign language training, many senior citizens who attended the class drop out because too many components to memorize. They cannot accept that, so they drop out. Next. And when we do research on the proper way of presenting the Kampung Moten, we discovered that there's no official written documentation of the village. Many of the stories we gathered is from oral history from the senior citizen of the village. Next. Then when we are about to go forward again in our program, pandemic, the COVID-19 came. In January, the program was, in January, it was not so bad, but in March, well, we had to stop everything. Next. Okay, we also have difficulty in communicating to make the villager understand the activities. Next. And there's a lack of cooperation from the community because of some political set ideas what they will have that. Next. Visibility, we did a lot of promotion by Facebook, e-posters. Next. And we have direct involvement with the tourists. They write in the blog, and that's where we get attention. Next. And we print brochures. Next. This is a brochure. Next. What the outcome? So the program, next. The program create platform for the young generations to communicate with the older generation. Next. By participating as an in-house guide, we give opportunity for the villagers to get extra income. Next. The program attracted attention from the government. Next. And some students created ebooks on the village was published. Next. Next. This is the presentation of the wireless earphone. Next. This is the one we got it. Next. This is the ebook. Next. So we do have programs to follow up, but because of pandemic, we can't do anything. So we had to suspend all our program in Kampung Morton. Next. But we have converted our physical tour to virtual tour. Next. We have collaborated with two local platforms. That is next. Explore Malaysia. Next. Buddy and next. And we have also collaborated with an international company which focus on American market. Next. And we bring Kampung Morton to America. Next. And we also, this is a poster, we also collaborate with Malacca World Heritage Office for all our virtual Kampung Morton and heritage site. Next. So these are some of the participants, and for information, in this photograph are our ambassador to Finland and Sweden. Next. So we also have a visit by the Japanese embassy. The ambassador came on the 16th of March, and yesterday I have a Zoom meeting with him, and he is going to recommend this program to Japan. And next month I'm going to have a CSR program with the Japanese embassy on Kampung Morton. Next. Okay, on behalf of the villagers, right? Next. We would like to say thank you to UNESCO and the people of Japan for their assistance to make this thing happening. Thank you. Wish you were here. Next.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Syaukani Abbas. And now we move to Mr. Ahmad Najib Arifin, still from the Malacca. Please welcome.
Thank you. My name is Ahmad Najib Arifin. Just call me Naj. That's my nickname. And what I'm going to present is actually a separate program or separate project from what Syaukani has presented. But in a way, we complement each other. And in fact, in a way, also the program that you can see, the title is there on my slide. This is a follow-up to what Syaukani's program has done. And what it does is it follows on the digital aspect, because I think we can go on to the next, please. Yes. So what we are doing is to follow up from what Syaukani had mentioned on the virtual experiences, on the digital aspect, which in fact, when Syaukani did his first virtual experience, and that was when I remember we invited Moe, and so she saw, and the UNESCO Jakarta people also saw the benefits of going digital. Next, please. To overcome the devastation of tourism that, of course, we all know by now. And so next. If the world can't come to Malacca, let's bring Malacca to the world by virtual experience. Next, please. Now, as Syaukani had mentioned, his was more restricted to Kampung Morton. And so with ours, we expanded it and we went to at least 4 areas, including Kampung Morton, which are all part of the heritage sites in and around the Malacca World Heritage City Zone. Next, please. So these are, besides Kampung Morton, the Banda Hilir or Chinatown area, and also the Portuguese settlement, which is on the lower right hand, and on the lower left hand is Kampung Cheti. So these are all traditional heritage settlements that have helped to make Malacca the World Heritage City it is, because of the wonderful multicultural historic aspect that we have in Malacca. Next. So what we did among the sequence of activities, firstly, we had to do a cultural mapping exercise. Of course, some of the cultural mapping items were already available, so we just needed to enhance that, make sure they still exist, and to most importantly, to identify which are the existing assets that can be transformed into this program and get the practitioners to come on board. Next. So that was the onboarding of the participants. Next. we also, okay, this is the difficult part, the training, coaching, and mentoring from A to Z. Now, as also Georgetown mentioned, the people are just, they're so varied. There are those who are already very advanced, and when we mentioned to them, they immediately knew the benefits. Some had no idea what could be done. At the most, they know about Facebook, but they don't even have a Facebook page. And so, we had to deal with so many levels of competencies, but that was part of the fun of the challenge, actually. Next. I think we can go next as well because they're related. So we had to help them really from A to Z, and part of that was also how to help them to get the publicity, the advertising and marketing done. They have the product, they know physical publicity, physical advertising, physical marketing, but when we go digital, it's a whole new ball game. And this is where we had to bring in experts to help with the local communities and be very patient to go one by one to show them how it's done. And that even includes as simple as copywriting. You have, because when it's physical, you just talk, you just speak, you can say anything you want because your body language helps. But when you go digital, when you go online, you do online posters, you need to have very precise and very, very good copywriting. So that was another aspect of it. Next, please. So those are some of the difficulties on the virtual practicalities that you have to go to, because many of these people, they don't quite understand how to transform into the digital world. Next, and you can go on to the end. I think there's two more. Okay, so besides that, we also did the website, which is still under construction, because halfway through, one of the key people had to be quarantined because he was exposed to somebody who had COVID-19. So there was a little bit of a delay there. Next slide. Okay, next. Okay, so among the project objectives, of which there were 5 key ones. One is to preserve our culture and heritage in the midst of this pandemic, because we did see, as we were doing our cultural mapping, that one by one, many of the practitioners or the shops or the workshops, they couldn't survive, and they were closing down. Hopefully, many of them closing down temporarily. Some were okay; they were able to go ahead. And some were able to survive better because of this program. And unfortunately, there were a few that just couldn't make it, and they closed down for good. So we had so many things going on that we had to look at in the effect of the pandemic. Next. Okay. Now, of course, one of the most important things is to generate some kind of honest, sustainable income for the people who participate. And this is one of the key things that we tried to do. Sometimes it's very direct, and I explain a bit later when we show you actually what we do. And sometimes it's a bit indirect. So the indirect one is, I think, is quite understandable. You have your social media, Facebook, or and so on. So there's some indirect income from your marketing. But what we wanted to also introduce as a big component is a direct, honest, sustainable income via live online experiences. Next. Another project objective was to raise the cooperation and mutual benefit, and this was quite good because we were dealing with so many different settlements, villages, and people from different parts of the city who not everyone, of course, knew each other. So bringing them together was very good. We could see synergies among them, and that was also one of the fun things to introduce people to each other. Next. So finally, one of the key objectives is to allow cultural exchange and virtual tourism to continue despite the pandemic with people around the world. When we do the virtual experiences, then it helps not just domestically, but internationally for us to share and to continue preserving and sustaining both tangible and intangible heritage of Malacca with the rest of the world. Next. Okay, we can go next as well. So among the practicals that we did was firstly to get the participants on board with various media meaning social media. As I said, some of them already had Facebook pages, but they were very basic. They didn't have much attractiveness to them. So at first we helped them understand that these are some of the key things to show what needed to be highlighted, what was superfluous, and things like that. So that one of the first things was just to see what they have done, what are their levels of competence in digital marketing. Next. So once we thought that everything was well almost ready, then we introduced the making of live and paid virtual experiences. Now, people like Shaukani, they were already very good. They had already been trained earlier, and they knew about it and were already well versed in it. But the newer ones who we had brought in from the other villages, this was really something new, in which we had to very patiently get them to understand that they have to overcome their shyness. They have to overcome their lack of knowledge of manipulating even Zoom, something like this, in which finally it will allow them to go to do their own virtual experience online using platforms such as Zoom. And before that, you had to do the posters. You had to do, that's where the copywriting comes in. You have to help them choose the best photographs for that e-poster, and then how to get the payment gateway, similar to what Georgetown had also mentioned. How to get people to understand e-wallets, how to receive payment online, things like that. Because before this, of course, they were doing online selling, but it was very, very simple. People just banked into their account. And that's all right for domestic, but once you go international, that's already too cumbersome and almost impossible. Next. So, as I mentioned earlier, we have a dedicated website which will continue to help this program move forward. Next. I only have 2 minutes left. Yes, challenges. I think all the challenges that Shaukani mentioned, we face the very same thing. Plus, now, as Shaukani also mentioned, his program went into the COVID-19 at its ending, and we started in the very midst of COVID-19, and that's what we have to do, because that's what we wanted to help people to overcome COVID-19. But still, we didn't realize that it was much more difficult than we thought. Because many things like this, you really need face-to-face. We realize now how human society needs face-to-face, heart-to-heart contact. You can try by WhatsApp, by video, obviously by phone calls, but nothing beats face-to-face. So next, please. And just as we were beginning to go quite well, Malaysia had its second lockdown. We've called it the MCO, Movement Control Orders, and that lasted. It went on and on and on. 2-week renewals, and we lost 2 months there, not being able to meet people, to have our experts and trainers go down to Malacca. And I should mention that if we have one thing is, if you have just local trainers, actually sometimes it doesn't work as well, because people tend to think, oh, these are locals, we can always meet them later. But if you have people from outside coming in, then they sit up a bit. They say, oh, we have expert trainers coming from outside, so we have to honor them, something like that. Next, please. And this was the other thing that I mentioned about how the community understands, the people, the practitioners, they understand, but the conversion to online methodology, that was very tough, and it depended on individual people. So, again, we have to meet each person. If we can't meet them physically, we have to try online, and then sometimes they cancel at the last minute. They have other things to do, so all these things were part of the challenges. Next. And yes, the other thing was, as the lockdown continued, pandemic got even worse. Participants, some who were enthusiastic at the beginning, they dropped out because they were busy trying to make ends meet, even though this program is trying to help them to do additional income. But still, they're scared. So they hold on to whatever they have first and think of this as, okay, we can do this later. Next. So because of that uncertainty, we had quite a lot of dropouts, but luckily they're not total dropouts. They were like temporary dropouts because I said that they needed to make ends meet. And so they said, yes, we'll come back later. We just need to do something first. So we haven't given up. We're still actually continuing with the program, even though officially it has ended. Next. Okay, what I mean by lack of cooperation, and only from certain quarters, I do have to say that I'm very happy. Many people did give very good support, but the lack of cooperation was more in terms of lack of inertia, lack of momentum. Some authorities, for example, we had a good cooperation from one particular office, and then the other office that needs to follow up with them. They didn't understand from the first one what was happening, so we had to go again and explain to them that, okay, this is what we are doing. This is how it will help Malacca. This is how it will help the economy. So that's what we have to go through. Next. Okay, and finally, we ended up in the Ramadan fasting month. Now, there's nothing wrong with Ramadan. It's a normal religious practice, but it is normal that people also tend to. It's part of Ramadan that people tend to back away from the world and do more spiritual things during Ramadan. And so in that fasting month, we had to slow down as well because we couldn't get everyone to support. But on the other hand, we did concentrate more on the non-Muslims while the Muslims were doing their fasting. So we knew how to go back and forth to make the best of it. Next, please. Okay, and next, among the besides the project objectives that for the most part we achieved, except that we couldn't achieve everything as planned within the time frame, but basically they were achieved. The project also became a very good network for even those outside the project, and that's why we go into the next item, in which fellow NGOs, even from Georgetown, and other culture and heritage lovers from around the world. When we started doing the actual virtual experiences, we got lots of people from everywhere, and they were helping to help spread the word for us as well. Next.
Mr. Naji, I think the time is up.
Oh yes, okay.
Can you wrap up
just
maybe a sentence?
Okay. Let's very quickly go next. Okay, just to show some of the meeting and training sessions, some of which we had to do online. You can see the camera there. Next. So as I said, some of them we just had to do one-to-one, and some we had to go online during the 2 months of the lockdown. Next. Very quickly, just give me 1 more minute, please. Next, please. Okay, I'll just show you this one because I've run out of time, but this is a sample of one of the VXP is the virtual experience. We shorten it to VXP instead of VE, and so this is what we spread out on social media, and so as you can see at the bottom there, this one happens to be Kampung Morton in Italian, because one of the people there, a young lady, she speaks Italian, so she did her tour, whereas Shaukani's is in English. Shaukani's group is mostly in English. She was able to do hers in Italian, and so what happens is we market it at a certain time, and then people actually pay to go into this virtual experience, and at the appointed time we start the Zoom. We have given them the link, and they come in and they all sit in, look at the screen, and have a look at this local guide going around and virtually showing the site as part of the virtual experience. So I think I have to stop there for now, but I'll be happy to answer questions when we have our Q&A. Okay. Thank you.
in. All right, thank you very much, Mr. Ahmad Najib Arifin, for the presentation. It can be seen from the presentation that going digital is a brand new word, and I think it is also experienced by others too. And there are so many things in detail that we have to look at, for instance, the copyright and also the virtual experiences to the global online public. All right. Thank you very much once again, Mr. Syaukani Abbas and Mr. Ahmad Najib Arifin from the Melaka. Okay, and now we are moving to Indonesia. UNESCO, with the support of City Foundation, has organized a program called Kita Muda Kreatif, or Creative Youth at Indonesian Heritage Sites for supporting business capacity building of young cultural entrepreneurs in the heritage destinations. The presentation about Kita Muda Kreatif will be delivered by Miss Diana Setiawati, who has been joining me in the studio. So now, time is yours, Miss Diana.
Thank you, Sekar. Hi, everyone. Let me open my mask. Okay. Hi, everybody. Good morning. Very happy that I can have the opportunity to join you guys. And actually, even though Kita Muda Kreatif is not part of the GVIT program, but we actually really learning a lot today. And along with me, we have also our team, Kita Muda Kreatif team, joining as the observer of the workshop. Hello, team. So we are going to learn and also would like to share with you the stories of our Kita Muda Kreatif program. And I also would like to say thank you so much and really high appreciation and salute to my colleagues from Vigan, from Malacca and Georgetown, and also other team who have been supporting for the JFIT program. We have seen so many creative ideas, how we came up with activities during this difficult COVID-19 pandemic. So without no further ado, I would like to proceed with my PowerPoint presentation. So our program, Kita Muda Kreatif, this is actually a colloquial way for us to say the youth empowerment program, which have been implemented now is the 4th year by UNESCO Jakarta under the support of UNESCO and City Foundation. So the name of the project is actually Creative Youth at Indonesian Heritage Sites. Next. So as you see, the Kita Muda Kreatif program is a comprehensive youth empowerment program, which actually targeting youth entrepreneurs with the age between 18 to 30 years old, and they live in the heritage sites and popular destination surround Indonesia. We're targeting actually 6 sites, 6 provinces in Indonesia. That is, you can see the pictures in the slides. There is Borobudur, Yogyakarta, and then Bali, and then Lombok, Toba Lake, and also Kota Tua, Jakarta. So these 6 provinces, they have different challenges, they have different characteristics. So this is what makes the project interesting. So the project is actually born as a response of the Government Indonesia program in late 2016 or early 2017. The government launched the program of prioritized tourist destination, 10 prioritized 10 tourist destination surround Indonesia, dubbed as the new Bali. So this is a part of the Government of Indonesia program to boost the income from the tourism sector and also boost the local economy. But of course, if we see that type of program, this will come also with different type of issues which relate to the development issues, connectivity and access to tourist destination, community empowerment, and then human resource, and also improvement of cultural products. So we see this opportunity and we discuss with City Foundation, and voila, we actually get the approval to launch this program. Next. So here comes the data. So from the initial target from 2017, we always targeting 400 youth entrepreneurs from these sites. And now in this year, in the fourth phase, in 2021, we try to focus with 300 youth entrepreneurs. So because we want to focus and we want to make sure that their business will be sustained. So we can see that the number are spread and 50% of them are women. They are coming from 10 creative industry sectors and mostly coming from the working in craft. This is the highest sector, and then fashion and tourism. Next. Yeah, this is the creative industry sectors. As you see, this is the type of the youths that we assisted, like the youth guides, crafters, weavers, and different type of youth communities. Next. And our approach is quite unique. So we don't have like a standard curriculum because, as I said, we going to 10 different sites and they have different characteristics. So we tend to customize the intervention based on the sites. So like our intervention in North Sumatra will have a different style of approach with our intervention in Java, for instance, or our intervention in Bali. Some of them are familiar with digital marketing, some of them are not, and some of them are very easy of using social media and gadget, and some of them are not. So this is the way we develop our curriculum intervention. Next. So if you see this is our actually key steps of the program. We always start with the basic business development because we try to enhance the business of the youths, but also trying to keep them be informed about the philosophy of the cultural products that they are developing. So after the basic business development, we have the technical sector, and then we have the branding support, which is, we think this is important for each of the products. And then we support the youth centers, and then we go to the marketing and promotion support, and then access for more building ecosystem. Okay. Next. Yeah, but of course, COVID-19 changed everything. Next. Yeah, so we try to be responsive of the COVID-19 in March 2020. We have the physical distancing restrictions. So we changed all the virtual into hybrid mode. In the first 3 months, we only focus for the virtual. So we don't do like face-to-face meeting, but after, I think around August, when the physical distancing is a little bit loose, and then we can, the government allow to do face-to-face gathering with limited protocols, then we do the hybrid intervention. Next. Yeah. So the challenges of the project beneficiaries, I think this is also the same that faced in vegan and in the Malaysia. Like the youths, they don't know what to do. They are struggled because the place where they usually sell the product are closed. The suppliers and difficult distribution are closed. So and then they have less and less income. Next. So the Kita Muda Kreatif try to respond. We quickly try to reach the youth beneficiaries and ensuring them that we continue to provide the support. And we had a very a close meeting with the government as well, assess what type of the health protocols. And then we came up with the local partners, the creative ways to do the training. Next. So some virtual innovation created by the program, we try to maximize the utilization of the social media. The Kita Muda Kreatif program is actually have Instagram account. Please feel free to follow. It's called Kita Muda Kreatif. And we have the Facebook and YouTube. So we try to use all these elements to reach the beneficiaries. We launched even the WhatsApp class group this is probably a little bit unique because when we see our youth in North Sumatra, they are not too familiar with Zoom facilities at the earlier of the stage. So we do the WhatsApp lunch classes. So and then we also providing virtual tour training for the youth from tourism sectors, and we do virtual event to through YouTube streaming. So next. This is the example of innovation. We are going to show you the video later, but this is how we do one of the campaign, Wear Your Mask campaign. We work with 80 weavers and fashion designer across 6 provinces, and working with them to do 4 workshops where they can make face masks like this. Yeah, and then they can use the traditional textile. They are batik and a traditional weave like this. This is batik. And then they develop new products. We make a virtual workshop, even sewing workshop with virtual, with the YouTube access. And then with the new product, we help them to distribute with our Instagram Kita Muda Creative account. This helped them to learn more about digital marketing, how to make storytelling about the cultural philosophy, and also make more opportunity for income. Next. Yeah, you see this is the Wear Your Mask campaign. We work also closely with the City Foundation volunteers. So we are very lucky, actually our donor City Foundation is really engaged with our program, and they distribute their staff, their volunteers to work with our program. And then you can see also in the middle, this is how we encourage the youth to do more storytelling in the Instagram. And the next one, you see how crowded our Zoom classes are usually. Next. And the next is branding support. So as you see, we can also say that in branding support, it's very important. So during the pandemic, we are also encourage the youth to improve their branding. Not all of them have branding. Branding identity here, including the logo, the packaging, and then how they put their branding names in the social media stuff. So if you see, we work closely with the students, with the interns, with the volunteers, and also with the experts to come up to support the youths virtually about the branding support. And then you see some of the products. So some of the youths have a new product portfolio. They have new packaging. Next. And then you can also see this is the type of different logos that we are assisted. So before pandemic, we have assisted 114 branding. And then during the pandemic, we still managed to support 90 branding, and now we're going to continue with 80 more. You can also see that the branding that we support, they also use in social media. Next. Now, let me share the impact of the program in the project beneficiaries. For instance, there are many stories actually from the beneficiaries, but we try to share one story from Cemplon Sebastian. This is 26-year-old tour guide from Borobudur, and during the pandemic, her business is really collapsed. She was actually joined the program in 2019, and she had new skills to develop her tourism sectors, and it was expanding, but then the pandemic came. So we see that next, Cemplon then received our mentoring. She diligently come to us and also join our trainings. We actually launched the business development during the crisis training, where she get inspired from the mentors and then came up with the ideas of producing herbal drinks that in the pandemic in Indonesia, it's believed to help our immune. And throughout this pandemic, actually, Chomplon is like a winner. So she came up with another 2 brands with the herbal drinks and her cafe. And then she helped the local community who also jobless to help her with the herbal drinks products. And she managed to empower the local community. She's currently now receiving support from the Ministry of Education and Culture for her homestay product. Next. Yeah, as you see, this is actually the impact of the program for the 3 years intervention. I'm not going to do details about it, but you can see in the screening how we managed to do 90 online trainings during the pandemic. And also, we have 30% youths stated that they develop new products and service. 24% it reported that they have increased income, and 51 youths have new employees. Okay, next. So this is actually the last part of my presentation. How we way forward with this, we still have 1 year, not 1 year. I think the rest is like 8 months of implementation. And then now we're going to continue with the intervention, continue reaching out the beneficiaries. And then we also actually trying to develop the methodology and sharing that with the government. We are in the process of developing video for that. And we try to keep linking the youths with the surrounding network in government and business and private sectors. Okay, next. Yeah. So that's the last of my presentation. Thank you. So I also want to invite you to see the type of our virtual our streaming event about the Wear Your Mask campaign, where we finally conclude our 2 or 3 months training about how to make masks with streaming event in YouTube, and it's actually watched by more than 3,000 viewers. So thank you for the opportunity for me to share my stories. I'm always welcome for your questions. And now let's watch the video together.
Saran saya kepada adik-adik penjahit muda Toba untuk mengetahui filosofi atau makna yang terkandung dalam setiap corak atau motif pada setiap jenis-jenis ulos.
Motif-motif kain tradisional Indonesia ini menyimpan banyak filosofi dan cerita sehingga bisa menambahkan nilai lebih dari produk masker yang saya buat.
Program ini sangat bermanfaat untuk saya karena lewat program ini skill saya lebih terasah sehingga dapat mengupgrade karir saya terutama di masa pandemi ini.
Program kampanye masker Kita Muda Kreatif sangat bermanfaat untuk para pembatik yang berada di wilayah Bad Klaten.
Semoga kedepannya kalian tetap semangat karena saya rasa ini sudah jadi jalan yang tepat untuk kedepannya supaya kita bisa melestarikan budaya dan juga untuk kedepannya kalian bisa terus maju dalam berbisnis.
All right, thank you very much, Miss Diana, for the very insightful presentation about creative youth at Indonesian heritage sites that have been able to overcome the challenges during this difficult time and even accomplish several achievements, such as the large number of the young participants and encompassing 10 creative industry sectors spread over in a number of heritage sites around Indonesia. With customized approach based on each characteristic of the sites and sectors. All right. Once again, I would like to thank all the presenters because this is the end of the series of presentation we have today. I would like to thank all the presenters for sharing their experiences that will be an important lesson learned for everyone attending this meeting. And now we are moving to the next agenda. proceed to the next agenda, we are going to have a panel discussion that will be moderated by Ms. Moe Chiba. Here, Ms. Moe Chiba is going to ask questions directly to the delegates who have delivered their presentation for elaborating the discussion. And all the participants who are joining this meeting are also invited to ask questions through the chat section in this Zoom meeting. Once again, I would like to inform that all the participants who are joining this meeting are also invited to ask questions during the chat session in this Zoom meeting. So now, I would like to invite Ms. Moe Chiba for moderating this panel discussion. Time is yours, Ms. Moe Chiba.
Thank you, Sikar. So, yes, it was so exciting to hear everybody's experience, and we want to hear a little bit more from each of you. So, may I start inviting our presenters and the project executing partners from Vegan to open up the videos? May I call upon Mr. Juan Carlo Medina from Vegan City and his colleagues Edgar and Miss Joanna. Can I also ask Mr. Shaukani, Rosli, and Nudge to turn on your video? Nana, and of course, my dear friends, Dr. Ang and Bunne from Georgetown. Okay, from the outset, I wish to say how grateful and impressed UNESCO is for the great work you have conducted on the ground in spite of COVID-19. I always feel that all these great recommendations or the agendas like sustainable development goals, at the end of the day, is nothing if there's no persons like you who carry on these visions, or the ideal on the ground. So once again, thank you very much. Now, so let's hear a little bit more about your experience. From the presentations, it was clear all of you have chosen to go digital as a solution. That was the case from Melaka, Georgetown, Vegan, and also our friends from Indonesia. And I guess that was a kind of new experience for all of us. And so we wanted to hear a little bit more of your insight and experience on what was the advantage, but also the challenges or the limitations of using this digital means as part of the community development. I think in the presentation by Mr. Nudge, he also mentioned how actually he has to really mentor from A to Z out of scratch. So obviously there's a lot of challenges. Now that the world is turning into digital as like almost like only virtual solution to this problem of COVID, we also want to step back a little bit and see what what it can do, but what would be its also limitations. So I would like to hear first the insight from our friends from Vegan. May I call upon the mayor, Juan Carlo Medina, and his colleagues, Mr. Edgar and Joanna, to perhaps share your insight on your and then experience of bringing the digital means in the training of the local communities. What worked, what didn't work, what it did, but what it has not, it would not manage to do. Okay, so may I request our participants from Vegan to turn on the video and the microphone?
Yes. Okay. Hi, Ma'am Mo. I'm Joanne. So, Mayor is actually officiating a civil wedding ceremony as of now. So, he might be joining again. Yeah, he might be joining again because actually I think it's already finished. So, he'll be joining us again. So, in a while, probably. For us in vegan, probably the most problem on online promotion, especially to our traditional industries, is probably the intermittent connections of our internet, the connections of our, since we are known to have the lowest speed here in the Philippines, so there's a problem in the internet connection since other owners of traditional industries don't have access yet. They don't have connections to internet. So others have, but most of the traditional industries who are on the outskirts of the city doesn't have access to internet yet. So that's one of the challenge that we would like to address. Since even if they want to sell their products online, how much they want to sell it online, that is one of the challenge that the city government would like to address, the access to fast connection in the internet, so that they could also do their online selling.
Thank you, Joanna. Yes, I realize that this basic infrastructure is actually always a challenge.
Yes.
Talk about training. There must be an equitable access to internet for all the citizens in the country, and we understand that this remains a challenge still in many countries. So perhaps one of the recommendation would be that all the World Heritage cities or the sites should be given a privileged access to the internet.
Yes. hopefully we could have that privilege.
Thank you, Ms. Joanna. Yes, that's a very important point. Then may I call on our friends from Georgetown, Dr. Ang Obunne. What is your experience of providing all this digital marketing of the local SMEs and the local residents? What you think it worked, but what was the most difficult part actually that you have faced? And whether you think that this is going to be like permanent solutions or not?
Thank you, Moy. I was very happy that, if we are given the priority of the internet, make it faster. I respond positively on that. But to my surprise, after 1 year working on the New Normal project, we always have the stereotype that maybe the older people are not tech savvy. But I also encounter a lot of people of my age or younger than me who are reluctant to enter into the virtual world. And another one is like somehow not all products sells well. So there are certain products that somehow are successful, in particular essential stuff, and now we need to define what is essential stuff, and some of them are related to cultural heritage. For example, during a particular ceremony, Chengbeng, the tomb sowing, and then so there are the sellers who package it off, like, you can buy this package like 50 ringgit, 100 ringgit, you buy it and we deliver it to you. Those sell well. But food sells very well, but certain foods that is very popular and very welcome by the local people, they are surviving very well. But somehow performances, they are not getting a lot. We are trying to sell online tickets, online concerts, but we are having a lot of challenges on that. So we also trying to promote of like physical performance hall, but at the social distancing. And art pieces is not doing very well because it's not an essential element. So we are also trying to push it for like birthday gift, Christmas gift, and things like that. So it's very challenging. We are still trying to find the answers. Bunni, you have anything that you want to add on this?
Hi. I also realized that when we are trying to engage with community, it's the community is very helpful to give us their data and also to talk to us and share their knowledge and their experience throughout the COVID-19 with us. But because of the physical social distancing, social contact with them is not allowed during this time. So it's kind of also a barrier for us to contact them. So now, yeah, we have to call them or reach out them with other method, but this is also part of the difficulties for us to contact with the community for the engagement.
And how open or quick were the community members in embracing the new technology or a new tool? Was they open to it, or there's a lot of reluctance?
I think they are very quick. Like last year at this time, like you can't buy my favorite pork rice on GrabFood, but now I'm ordering them, and then you have variety of options. So the whole food business is online, and I aim that to develop the culture, because it's not only the supplier, it's also the consumer. We have to train the consumer and the supporter to engage into, like, I'm willing to pay a certain money for a performance online. So it is important to look at both ends.
That's an interesting point. Thank you very much. I think what you Thank you very much.
Sure.
Yes. So, Mr. Shaukani, you have pioneered in actually starting this virtual tour from Melaka and even going international. Right? It went international, but it sounds just like such a fantastic success story. But I'm sure there has been a lot of struggles behind. So can you tell us what is the most difficult part actually in developing this virtual tour with local communities? But we also want to hear what is the response from the tourists who are participating in this virtual tour. I mean the consumers, because you managed to reach out to people in Poland, Finland, and America. That sounds very, very impressive. So yes, please tell us more about your experience.
First of all, I'd like to agree with Dr. Ng on some of her points about virtual or digital. But when we started this program, we never expect to be digital. We expect it's all physical. So our mind is focused on physical. But when the pandemic came along, that's where our problem started. We never think of this, right? So what happened was we had to suspend everything. And do you know that it took me 2 years to convince the community to follow the physical tour? 2 years to make them confident. And then they participated, they follow. And suddenly the COVID came and everything had to be put a full stop there. So I, as a heritage activist, responsible, already put my leg inside Kampung Modern. We got to continue the program. So I convert the program into to virtual. So we done it in February. We start off with trial and error, right? We just trial and error with the villagers. But as COVID comes in March, they can't be on the field. So I had to do myself. Okay, I had to do myself. So we do with few friends. We started during trial and error, and in August we start marketing it. I had to do myself first. I don't want to involve the villagers because they still cannot accept virtual and digital. So, but I get them involved indirectly. So when we did our virtual, it's not a free tour, it's a paid tour. We charge $10 per person, and whichever place we stop in the village, we pay the villagers. So after 3 months in December, they are getting some idea of what we are trying to do, and they understand. But in December, I have dengue, so I had to stop for 1 month. So we start again in January, and that's where another problem arises, where the villagers are all not motivated anymore because of the pandemic. So I had to do myself, and with the help of a few friends from overseas, we managed to promote Kampung to other countries. But as you know, in the early days when physical tour, there's a lot of tourists from overseas visit our village. But by doing virtual, we managed to bring Kampung to them. They help us to promote in overseas. And now we are in the midst of negotiating with an international company to promote it again in Europe. But our program is more now towards tourism, not on specific like academic, more on tourism. And like I said, in my mission is to make people come to Kampung Mountain. So the program we created is like a teaser, and it's got half an hour, and we are not very specific on the history or whatever. Make them aware that Kampung is around. So this program is free, but it's on tip basis. All right, so they had to tip basis, and I will distribute to the villagers which houses we use. So it's a risk because Malaysian people do not buy virtual tour. They don't tip, but foreigners they tip. So my program and my what I have foresee last time I did a lot for the local, they want it free because there's a lot of live. Facebook is live is free, and Google Meet is free. They expect this to be free. So I'm not going to be free. I'm going to charge. This is but when this spending by end of the year, hopefully I already have 2 or 3 villages who are going to do virtual. I hope they still interested to do it after a few months of not doing anything. But anyway, whatever Dr. Ng said just now, I really half of what she said, I agree on the digital program where people want some money to do something, not free anymore. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I think it's a very interesting observation because most of us tend to consider that everything that is provided on the internet should be free. You're not supposed to pay. But then the whole COVID situation came in and people start doing the virtual tour where we expect the consumers to pay. So I was kind of interested to know what would be the reaction of the consumers, who will be willing to pay. And but I think you confirmed that there's of course a certain amount of reluctance, especially amongst the Malaysian consumers, to pay for the virtual tour. And I also took note that yes, it's important the virtual tour cannot replace the entire tourism experience. It only remains an appetizer to encouraging people to come and visit for the real. So you cannot, I don't think we can just live in a virtual world. And it's something that we have to keep in mind. Thank you very much. Now, can I ask also the comments from Rosli or Naj about your experience in expanding this virtual tour to other villages? You mentioned about sometimes a lack of cooperation from some as part of the communities, but I also got interested in hearing when you said that the project also became a kind of new catalyst for the local communities, a place to gather or to collaborate for different members of the communities during this very difficult time of confinement and pandemic, where everybody tends to be isolated and struggling in their corners. So telling me your experience, positive and negative, about this virtual experience.
Okay, now I really admire Shaukani because he, in a way, he took to virtual experience or virtual tours like a duck took to water. And in a way, that's understandable because he is an established tourist guide. So it's a fairly understandable transition from doing physical guiding, and then you learn the ropes on virtual guiding, and then you go ahead. But then again, there are many other tourist guides out there who could not make that transition. And yet there are people who are not tourist guides, they have no training whatsoever, and after some coaxing, after some really coaching, then they could do it. So it depends so much on individual capacity, individual understanding, individual motivation. What we were doing is we were expanding this digital marketing and digital experiences into something that was more than just a virtual tour, which is why we call it virtual experiences, not just virtual tours, because there are many of the things that are done which are not actually tours. They could be, for example, they could be workshops. You stay at one place and you're showing what you do. So it's not like a tour of a village. It's not a tour of an area, and it's also. I mean, imagine like what we saw at Vegan, okay, the pottery, okay, we can make that into a virtual tour as well. And that's what we have done with many of the things in Malacca. We have one, for example, who makes weaving of personal accessories, including rings and earrings and all sorts of necklaces and all that. And just by sitting there, we could take, it's a young man and his wife, and we could take that and do an entire virtual experience of about 45 minutes and then Q&A. And then for that one, the other thing that we can do is to upsell. That means not just that they pay for that virtual experience to learn about how it's done, but also at the end of the virtual experience, they can order, they can pay for personalized woven jewelry accessories for them to wear, and we can ship it by courier anywhere in the world. So these are the kind of things that that are the positive things that we can do. Even cooking, even there's one who in Kampung Chetty who does traditional massage, and even that one we haven't done yet because he was not ready. But only now he has said yes, he's ready to do it. So we will do a show where he will show how he massages people in the traditional Chetty way. So those are there are a lot of positives. If not, we won't do this program because the positives are there. So the challenges, I would say negatives, but the challenges, of course, remain until now. We have learned a lot of ways to overcome those challenges. For example, really one way is you really just have to be humble. You really have to engage people at the level that you can't come in, even though we have experts who come in, you can see that they're very professional in the sense that they don't come in and say, we are professionals, you listen to us and follow us. No, we have to listen to them first. We find out what are their capacities, what are their fears, what are their embarrassments, and then slowly gain their confidence to do that, to get them to come out of their shell and do a virtual experience. So now maybe this is different from what maybe Georgetown is doing, because what Shaukani and our group is doing is that these are very individual. Each person does his or her own individual virtual experience. It's not just taking videos and putting them up on the website, which is fine. That is a very normal and good way. But now we are going further. Each person does his own virtual experience. So we need to help them to understand how to do the marketing. Some of them are good, but they don't know how to do the marketing. They don't know how to write things on a poster so that poster will go out into the world and people will see that poster, read it, see the images on it and say, oh, I want to follow this virtual experience. I don't mind paying $5 US or €5 or or in yen or whatever it is. So these are the challenges to get people to understand the actual A to Z of it. And there's so much, because if you start doing very good from A and then you go on to L, S, and so on. But then when you reach W, you get a hiccup. Then the whole thing will just not go further. You see, so it's really very individual. And imagine we have to do this with about 50 or 60 people. So that's where the challenge came in, on top of the pandemic. Now, even though we are doing this virtually, my last point here is that at some point you do need to have some physical presence together, especially at the part where you need to do the virtual experience, because you need to be there to help them with the physicality of holding the camera, how to hold the camera, and they can just use their own handphones. This is one of the things that is very important to understand. We try to use the minimal amount of stuff. It doesn't have to be so technical. At the very least, one good handphone with a good camera and internet connection. That is the very basic that you need. And then, of course, once you get more sophisticated, you can use a gimbal. You can use a wireless earphone, to make it more clear, things like that. But the ones that we initially did, they just use their handphone and that's it. Okay, so that's very important. You can't get people to try and be so sophisticated. So at some point, you do need to be there to physically help them to show how to hold the camera, how to click which part of Zoom to get in, how to get people to come in from all over the world. So of course, at least one or two people need to be there to help. And so part of the challenge that we also did was during of course this pandemic, during the lockdown, there will be neighbors who complain and say, why do we have these outsiders coming into our village to help our people? No, this is very dangerous. They could be bringing the virus. So we had to be very, very careful. We had to be very discreet to do that. I do have to record that so far so good. None of our participants and none of ourselves have been affected by the coronavirus. It's just that some of our participants were quarantined because they had been exposed to other people, nothing to do with this program.
Right.
So those were some of the
obviously,
challenges.
Naj, you have a lot of experience in conceptualizing, but also operationalizing this virtual tour with the communities, which I understand is really a very patient, long process of mentoring from A to Z. And there's no jumping from A to Z, but there's B, C, D, E, and everything in between. And I hope beyond this project, you will be able to help some of our friends, especially my team from Indonesia is very eager to learn these techniques of virtual tour, because we've been mentoring some of the youth in the villages to become a virtual tour guide to present about their villages.
Myself and our team here.
Yes. So we will
we'll be very happy to help
so we're
as much as we can.
Plan this separate mentoring session from your side, and I hope Mr. Shaukani could also be there.
Can I add in one line?
Yeah.
Okay. One of the disadvantage of virtual tourism is that when you have created a program, the content for the participants, they will get so excited, right? So one thing, like technically they are out, but once they start doing, and then later on they market it and they have no audience for a while, they get disorientated, so they forget about it. That is one disadvantage. So they cannot depend on us or whatever. They had to do their own marketing, like what I'm doing now. I cannot depend on whoever. I had to do myself. I got to invest on a Facebook page or a website to promote myself. That's how I managed to get overseas market, because I doing myself and all the connection. You have to make a thick face to face all these type of things. This is what I go through. Thank you.
Yeah. No, thank you very much. I think it's a very important point. One thing, of course, is to create the content and put it online. but make sure that this is being properly marketed to get the public coming and eventually paying money. And this, we can't expect the community to manage it themselves. I think there has to be a lot of support still from the project coordination side. I can see that the mayor of Juan Carlo is back. I think you just officiated a marriage and you made a happy couple. Since he's there and knowing that he's a super busy person, before going and ask comments to Nana, I would like to ask Mr. Juan Carlo. First of all, thank you very much for this wonderful work that's been done by your city, and which we had a chance to see through the videos. Now, a lot of things been done to support the local communities and especially the artisans, and you've also gone digital in try to do it online. But beyond that, could you perhaps tell us what is your visions, your ideas for supporting the recovery of your city during this pandemic and then beyond? If you could kind of elaborate on your thoughts, that'd be great.
Thank you, Mo. Let me take this opportunity to thank UNESCO and Japan Fit for granting Vegan a very beautiful project. Mr. Nudge actually has the right concept on how to help our traditional workers here in the city, because the question that will always be asked to us is ano ang sa akin dyan? At it's Tagalog, what will I get from that? The idea was, because of the pandemic, one of the projects that we proposed with Japan Fit was actually a hackathon. A hackathon that would provide modern day solutions to the problems of our traditional industries that would include marketing, that would include digital marketplace. But unfortunately, because of the pandemic, we weren't able to do that. The problem with encouraging them to go digital is most of them actually don't understand. Most of them don't see the concept of paying for hosting, for paying for a domain name. They just think of a website as something that you put up there, then people just look upon it. So the idea is to provide them with another source of revenue stream. So the idea was to marry our traditional artisans with the youth of vegan, and for them to partner on how to do this project. It's one thing to train the artisans, it's another to train the youth. When you train the artisans, it's very hard because they have to learn how to photograph better. They have to learn how to maintain a website. They have to learn how to pay with a credit card for a hosting domain. So if you marry our IT students with our artisans, and the IT students would now be the ones maintaining these websites. They would be the one taking photographs of the products. They will be the one in charge of marketing. It would provide additional revenue for our artisans, while at the same time providing needed jobs for the youth in vegan. That was actually one of the ideas, and I think we're still going to do that in the coming months, because by providing additional revenue streams for our artisans, it would provide them additional capital to improve their work. That's why we started with the marketing and the innovation program with DTI, the Department of Trade and Industry in the Philippines. So it's one thing that we want to still do. We're still coordinating and talking with our partners in Heritage on what else we can do for them. But for now, we're concentrating on vaccinating everyone. We want to open up vegan as much as possible. We want to open up vegan by September, hopefully. The city already purchased doses for every citizen. We're hoping that they would arrive by June or July. And that's one, it's actually one of the best things that we can do for our citizens. It's just to provide them vaccines for now and hope to open, because you can't beat face-to-face. tourists would always still prefer to go to a certain place and to experience everything that's happening in your locality. So maybe we can partner again with UNESCO and Japan Fit for other projects that we will be hoping to do in the near future.
Thank you very much. I think we fully appreciate your idea of intergenerational and intersectoral collaboration between the traditional artisans and the IT students. I think, yeah, that kind of collaboration should be the key to some of the challenges we are facing in vegan. And I already got vaccinated twice, so I hope after September we'll be able to see you in your beautiful city. And I hope the ambassadors from Philippines and Malaysia who will probably watch this video later will be encouraged to support us further. Let's cross finger. Thank you very much, Mr. Juan Carlo. Now, can I turn to my colleague Nana? Are you there? Yes. Yes, Nana?
Yeah.
Yes, so you have heard all this exciting experience from our friends from Vegan Melaka.
Yes, very interesting.
Yes. Now, perhaps my question to you is, where do you think we should collaborate? Because I think already so many issues, areas where you want to hear more from them, or you want to learn more, or the technicalities that you want to kind of learn from them. Perhaps could you suggest us where all of us should collaborate or can learn from?
Yeah, thank you, Ibu Moy. I just want to start with adding a little bit of, I think, Najib and Saukani's comments about the difficulties in doing things during the pandemic. Yes, I actually completely agree with you, because I think not all creative industry sectors, they can be treated easily in a digital marketing platform. Like in Indonesia, we also have challenges from some sectors from craft, especially from Gorga carvers from North Sumatra or from Toba. This is the youths that are usually making carving for the houses, and this is a part of their culture. And during the COVID, this is like completely stopped. So this is also happening with the art performance. Art performers, they don't have opportunity to perform because everything is closed. So we also try to come up with ideas of what we can do. And actually for these two sectors, we came up with ideas of helping them with making like small videos through our Resiliart program. So even though this is probably only helping them to do marketing tool, they can upload it in YouTube or they can share it to WhatsApp to their clients. But this is one of our intermediate solutions. So yeah, this is one of the one that we saw. And when we talk about the areas of collaboration, I think this is a very good opportunity for us. Like I also mentioned to you before, I think the virtual tour is the part of areas that we can collaborate, and the youths from Indonesia can also exchange learning experience with the youths from the youths or the communities from Malaysia and Philippines. We also actually developed some virtual tours with our youths here in Kota Tua, in Borobudur, and also in Central Java. And indeed, that the connectivity of the internet is also part of the problem. We actually did a virtual tour on last World Heritage Day on 18 April for Borobudur, and we actually face these issues as well. So we try to, the youth guides are in Borobudur to do the virtual trips, and we are in studio with our hosts, but the connection keep coming off. So we try to come up with solution with doing some small tappings for some experience for the areas that has low connectivity, and finally we succeeded in implementing the virtual tour. It's actually on our YouTube, and if you want to see, you can also see in Balai Konservasi Borobudur, also in Kita Muda Kreatif YouTube. So I think we can also share about the strategies of doing marketing during COVID-19, Ibu. I think virtual tour is also one of the strategy to still promote our products, but there are beyond that. There are more strategies that we can also share. We can also talk about the branding and storytelling activities. And I think it will be very interesting to learn how the team in vegan in Malacca and Georgetown doing these things, and we can exchange the experience. I hope I answered your question, Bu.
Yes. Thank you very much, Nana. I think you gave me idea of numbers of follow-up that we can do after this project.
Yeah.
One, let's certainly plan mentoring or experience sharing sessions amongst all of you about the virtual course.
Yeah.
Because I think everybody has different type of experience. You working with the different kinds of communities and using different type of platform. Sometimes it's paid, sometimes it's not paid, and I think they really want to learn from each other. Another thing is about marketing.
Yeah.
I think well, to be honest, UNESCO is not a good marketing agency. We are not just a financial or economic development organization. So we are not really good at marketing, but I know it's very important. At the same time, it's very difficult for each of us, each World Heritage City or each individual to do a marketing in their own little corner. And this is why we typically advocated for a collective marketing strategy. And so I think we have to see how we can do this kind of collective marketing effort that would link Indonesia, Philippines, Malaysian heritage sites. Because I know the heritage, not the heritage cities, but the countries in Mekong, around the Mekong River, they have their own collective tourism platform, which is very successful. Somehow we don't have an equivalent in this part of Southeast Asia.
Yeah.
And so we have to see how we can do some collective, marketing effort amongst ourselves.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Now it's 12:24 or 25 in Malaysia, Philippine time. And I guess, Sekar, it's time for us to close, unfortunately, this kind of discussion.
Yes.
And then, okay. So, well, those friends who are in the audience who wanted to ask questions but did not have an opportunity, please do not hesitate to send questions by email to us later, and we will try to pass it on to our participants so that you can have a continued conversation beyond this forum. So, Srikar, let me just say a few words to close this panel discussion, and I'll hand over to you.
Yes, please, Ms. Moechiba.
Yeah. So once again, thank you very much to all my friends from Vegan, Malacca, Georgetown, and Indonesia. Pandemic is an ongoing challenge, and UNESCO really appreciate the effort and testimony from each of you from the field. Because once again, I keep repeating, without your presence, all these big jargons that UN is talking about has no meaning. It's just going to be an empty theory and good wishing words. But it's the work of people like you who are struggling on the ground, who are really carrying forward that big agenda of the UN. So this is, when I said it's end of the project, it's the end of the project administratively speaking, because a project has a deadline, and but I believe it's not the end of our exchange. And we are hoping that this forum will be the beginning of new collaborations amongst all of you and for further cross-pollinations. And we, Nana and other friends already gave me ideas of what are the other follow-ups we can do. So we hope we keep in touch. We will close this project, administratively speaking, but our conversations, our exchange and dialogue will continue. And in particular, I thank Naj and Shaukani for the immediate to give us opportunity for free virtual tour to share your experience. So thank you very much once again to all of you. And this is a closer panel discussion. Floor is now yours again, Sekar.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Moichiba, for the very fruitful discussion. And with a clear wrap-up statement, we have collected all key information and shared the same understanding that will enable us to move forward on revitalizing creative industries at the World Heritage Sites, particularly in the Philippines, Malaysia, and Indonesia, as we have discussed today. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the end of today's program. I do really appreciate everyone's participation today. Thank you so much for your presence, your kind attention, your energy, and hopefully this event will bring future benefit for all of us. I am Sekarsari signing out. Hope to see you again on the next program of UNESCO. And now we are inviting all the participants to turn on the video because we are going to have the photo session through this Zoom meeting. Once again, I would like to invite all participants who are joining this meeting to turn on the video because we are going to have the photo session. Okay.
And I can see the face of Miss Fadila. How are you? It's been a long time. And Miss Erne also, congratulations upon your nomination as the new head of the World Heritage Office of Melaka. And hello to all our friends from Indonesia. I think we got the participants from the World Heritage Sites of Sangkiran and Prambanan, if I'm not mistaken. And many NGOs from Indonesia. I think Southeast Asia really has talent.
Okay, everyone is ready? Okay, I would like to remind all the participants, I would like to invite all the participants to turn on the video because we are going to have the photo session from our own room and doing the collaborating photo session through this Zoom meeting. Okay, yes, now I can see a lot of beautiful faces here. Smile. Yes. Okay, one more time. We just did once, and now we are going to have the next one. Be ready. Please prepare your best smile. Enough? Okay. Thank you very much once again for your kind attention, your great energy for joining this event. And I'm Skarsari signing out. Hope to see you again on the next program of UNESCO. Once again, thank you and see you.